There is a specific allure to antique art. You can see it in the tactile presence of thick oil paint resting heavily on an old canvas. This particular piece, acquired at a local estate sale, was a massive, heavily detailed landscape. It depicted a bleak winter scene, consisting of endless rows of dead pine trees and deep, undisturbed snow. The spatial geometry of its placement was intentional. It was hung dead center at the end of a long, narrow apartment hallway, acting as the sole visual anchor for the corridor. The initial draw of a piece like this is the illusion of absolute, unchanging stillness. It offers a sense of isolation that remains entirely contained within a wooden frame, a controlled aesthetic safety brought into the home. Within 2 days, the macro composition of the hallway gives way to a highly localized detail. The eye is naturally drawn deep into the painted forest, resting near the vanishing point. There, disrupting the struck white starks of snow, sits a single, almost microscopic dark speck of paint. It is easy to categorize a detail like this: a distant rock, or perhaps an old tree stump, a simple, intentional choice. A minor visual inconsistency rarely triggers an alarm. The brain leans on the logic of a stray brushstroke, choosing the comfort of a mundane error over the realization that the painting is no longer static. That logic fails the following morning. The black speck on the canvas has changed in both size and shape. The shape is undeniably the silhouette of a person standing deep within the painted snow. To counter the subjective nature of the observation, a smartphone camera provides a way to verify the change. Capturing the canvas through a digital zoom creates a record of the figure's current position. The figure has left the vanishing point entirely. It has closed the distance, moving from the background toward the foreground of the canvas. The introduction of a technological lens removes any remaining doubt. This digital record confirms a documented, measurable progression forward through the painted space. By Friday morning, curiosity has dissolved into visceral dread. The appreciation of the art is replaced by an immediate, sickening anxiety. The entity has made a massive leap in proximity overnight. It has breached the middle ground of the canvas, becoming a tall, unnaturally thin man in a heavy coat, facing directly forward. The scale of the intrusion is clear when comparing today's physical canvas directly against the digital photograph taken just 24 hours earlier. The wet, deliberate strokes of black paint have relocated. The figure sits literally 2 inches closer to the viewer. This triggers a panic response. Ripping the heavy frame off the plaster wall and slamming it face down onto the floor is a final, desperate attempt to end the visual progression. Physically obscuring the painting is an effort to rebuild a spatial boundary that has already been compromised. A new perimeter is established inside the bedroom. In the middle of the night, the protagonist relies on physical walls and heavy silence to provide a layer of safety. At 3:30 a.m., the heavy silence of the dark apartment is suddenly broken by a sound originating from the hallway outside. It isn't a footstep, but the sound of heavy, wet fabric dragging across dry hardwood floorboards, a noise that contradicts the environment of the apartment. Hearing a physical sound from an unseen source forces a confrontation. The tension of the unknown becomes more unbearable than the fear of the entity itself. The slow investigation leads back down the dark hallway, approaching the spot where the heavy canvas was left face down. A phone's flashlight cuts through the darkness. The wooden edge is tightly gripped, and the heavy canvas is slowly flipped over to reveal the painted surface. The painted winter landscape is empty. The black figure has vanished from the snow. The first direct interaction occurs when a single thick drop of freezing, icy water hits the skin of the hand holding the frame. The intense focus pulls entirely away from the oil paint, slowly shifting downward to the hardwood floor next to the frame. The flashlight reveals a trail of large, wet footprints made of black, slushy water. They begin exactly at the edge of the wooden frame and lead directly toward the protagonist. The total spatial collapse is now complete. These clear footprints confirm that the boundary between the canvas and the corridor has vanished, and the figure now occupies the same physical air as the viewer.